In the previous life, just before the college entrance exam began, I was temporarily reassigned to a seat by the window. During the test, a note filled with answers was suddenly thrown in through the window, and he immediately reported me for cheating. My results were cancelled, but he secured a recommendation for direct admission by upholding exam integrity. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before the exam started. I stood up directly and locked the window. This time, I'll make sure you die a miserable death. When the proctor told me to switch seats, the entire exam hall was dead silent. Only the sound of pencil case zippers, the rustling of admission tickets, and the cicadas outside buzzing in waves. I was still sitting in my original seat, my fingers resting on the black pen, but a chill ran down my back first, then my heart felt as if a hand had clenched it tightly. It wasn't because of nervousness, but because I had seen this scene before. It was the same in my previous life. 10 minutes before the first Chinese exam of the college entrance exam, I was temporarily moved to the third row by the window. Back then, I thought it was just exam logistics and obediently carried my stationery bag over. Halfway through the test, a crumpled piece of paper flew in from outside the window and rolled to my feet. Before I could react, Zhou Ju, sitting diagonally behind me, suddenly stood up, his voice loud enough for the entire exam hall to hear. "Teacher, Lin Jianyue is cheating." Those words dragged me straight from the exam hall into hell. Later, I was taken away, my results were cancelled, and it was announced school-wide. In the class group chat, some said I usually pretended to be aloof, but when it came down to it, I still relied on cheating. My mother slapped me at the school gate, saying I made her lose face. Zhou Ju, however, was recommended by the school for a supplementary admission slot for upholding exam discipline, and even appeared on the city's integrity examinee bulletin board. I explained, I cried, I begged. No one believed me, because the note was right at my feet, because Zhou Ju collected evidence immediately, because everyone was more willing to believe that a good-performing male student was righteous, rather than believe that I, the unlucky one hit by the note, was innocent. Later, I repeated the year, and Su Man spread the story about me to the new class, calling me a cheater whose scores had been invalidated. On my way back to the dormitory on a rainy night, I was cornered and cursed at by a group of people. Panicked, I ran into the middle of the road. A truck rushed toward me, its blinding headlights the last thing I saw in my past life. But now, I'm back before any of it happened. The invigilator repeated herself. "Lin Jianyue, did you hear me? Move to the third row by the window." Everyone looked at me. Zhou Ju was looking at me too. He sat diagonally behind me, his white shirt buttoned all the way up, wearing that same gentle, harmless expression. In my past life, I thought he was the fairest person in the class. Now, I just find him disgusting. I stood up, holding nothing in my hands. The invigilator frowned. "Hurry up, don't delay the exam," I said. "Teacher, I request to inspect the seat by the window." She was taken aback. "Inspect what?" I pointed to the window. The window on the third floor exam room is half open. Outside is a small ledge, and below it is the rain canopy of the old school building. In my past life, that note flew in from here. Switching to the window seat right before the exam makes me worried about outside interference during the test. To avoid misunderstandings, I request that the window be locked now, and I ask you to note in the exam log that I was the one who proactively requested the window inspection. As soon as those words were spoken, a few light gasps echoed through the exam hall. Someone muttered quietly, "Is she too nervous? It's the college entrance exam. Being cautious is normal." The invigilator was clearly impatient. "The window has been open like this all along, for ventilation." I didn't back down. "Teacher, the exam regulations also require preventing external information from being passed in. Now I've been temporarily moved to a seat by the window. If something really does come in from outside, I can't explain it, and you can't either." His expression shifted. Another invigilator, who had been sticking barcode labels, heard this and walked over. He looked at the window, then at me. "What's your name?" "Lin Jianyue. Give me your admission ticket." I handed it over. After checking it, he said, "You can inspect it. Don't touch the exam paper. First, put your things on the desk." I nodded, placed my transparent stationery pouch on the table, and spread my hands open for them to see. Zhou Ju suddenly spoke up. "Lin Jianyue, don't be too nervous. The exam hasn't even started yet." His voice wasn't loud, but it was just enough for the surrounding rows to hear. His tone seemed caring, but I could tell he was warning me, testing me. I turned to look at him. His gaze was steady, just as steady as when he had stood up and reported me in my past life. I smiled slightly. the college entrance exam, isn't it? As you said, the clearer the rules, the better." Zhou Ju's eyelids twitched almost imperceptibly. The invigilator walked over to check the window. It was an old-style sliding window, with a slightly loose latch on the right. When half open, a push from outside could easily widen the gap. In my past life, I had never even noticed it. Now seeing it, my fingertips turned cold. The male invigilator pushed the window twice, frowned, and said, "It really isn't locked." I immediately said, "Teacher, can we lock it?" He nodded. I walked over and, in front of both invigilators, pushed the window shut using a tissue to cushion my hand, pressing the latch all the way down. Click. The sound was faint, but when I heard it, one of the strings inside me that was about to snap finally loosened a little. The male invigilator said, "You're quite cautious." I replied, "I don't want to give anyone a chance to misunderstand me." He glanced at me, then picked up the exam log and wrote, "Before the exam began, examinee Lin Jianhua, due to a temporary seat adjustment to a window side spot, requested an inspection and locking of the window. Confirmed and processed by the invigilators." As he wrote, I stood beside him and read every word. I knew this wasn't a universal talisman, but it was the first nail, hammered into the truth. As I returned to my seat, I passed by Zhou Ju. He said in a low voice, "You're acting strange today." I didn't stop. "You're acting strange too." His fingers rested on the corner of the desk, tapping lightly, a small habit of his when nervous. In my past life, I didn't figure it out until I was dying. Zhou Ju knew from the very beginning that the note would appear. Otherwise, why would he stand up the very next second after the note rolled to my feet? A normal person, upon seeing a crumpled piece of paper, would first freeze in shock. Only someone waiting for it in advance would react that quickly. The bell rang, and the exam papers were handed out. The proctor began reading the exam rules. I lowered my head to check the answer sheet, writing my name and exam registration number. My hand was steady, much steadier than in my past life. It's not that I wasn't afraid. Of course I was. For me, the college entrance exam wasn't just a test, it was a way to escape that home. After my mother remarried, I had been living at my stepfather's house. When I got good grades, they said I spent too much money. When I won scholarships, they said I should hand them over to the family. I wanted to apply to a university far away, but my mother cried and said a girl who goes too far from home has no conscience. In my past life, after my scores were cancelled, she never once asked me if I had been wronged. She only said, "Flies don't land on an unbroken egg." Why didn't someone report someone else? Only you. I remembered those words for a lifetime, and they hurt for a lifetime. But now, I don't hurt anymore. I just need to win. The exam began. I quickly got into the zone. The first Chinese question wasn't difficult. I had done the expository text in my past life, but I didn't deliberately write too fast. I answered at a normal pace, putting down key words. The proctor paced back and forth in the aisle. Sunlight streamed in through the window, blocked by the tightly shut glass, landing at the foot of my desk. Occasionally, the sound of wind came from outside. Time moved forward bit by bit. I knew the moment when the note would appear in my past life. About 40 minutes into the exam, 40 minutes. That was the moment my life broke apart. Now, there were 2 minutes left until that moment. I slowed down my writing speed, but my ears were so alert I could hear every page turn from everyone around me. From diagonally behind, Zhou Ju's pen stopped. I didn't turn around. The proctor had just walked to the front row. Suddenly, a very faint sound came from outside the window. It wasn't the wind, it was the sound of shoes scraping against the platform on the outer wall. I gripped my pen tightly. The next second, something lightly tapped the glass window, very light. If I hadn't been prepared, I wouldn't have heard it at all. In my past life, the window was half open at this time, and the note flew straight in, landing at my feet. But now, the window was locked. The crumpled paper hit the outside of the glass and didn't come in. Another light tap. I didn't lower my head, didn't look outside, and didn't reach out my hand. I raised my hand. "Teacher." The invigilator looked at me. "What's wrong?" My voice was clear. "There's an unusual sound outside the window, like someone is throwing something into the exam hall." The entire exam hall fell silent instantly. Zhou Ju's chair made a sharp screech. I didn't look at him. The male invigilator quickly walked to the window and looked down outside. Just then, Zhou Ju suddenly stood up. "Teacher, I report Lin Jianhua for cheating." These words had finally come, but this time, they didn't knock me down, because I had raised my hand first, because I was the one who locked the window, because the note was still outside. the male invigilator turned to look at Zhou Ju. "What are you reporting?" Zhou Ju pointed at me, his voice a bit more urgent than in my previous life. "She kept looking out the window just now. She must have been waiting for the answers." I raised my head and looked at him calmly. "Zhou Ju, how do you know there are answers outside the window?" His face turned pale. The room grew even quieter. Zhou Ju's hand was still pointing at me. He probably didn't expect my first response to be a counter-question rather than a defense. In my previous life, after he stood up to report me, I was completely stunned. I said I didn't know where the note came from. I said I hadn't looked at it, but the more I explained, the more guilty I seemed. When the invigilator picked up the note, Zhou Ju immediately said, "She just looked down." Su Man later said in the class group chat, "I always thought Lin Jianhua was under too much pressure. She always said she had to get out of here. People like that are the most likely to go to extremes." Word by word, they pushed me to my death. In this life, I didn't give them that chance. The male invigilator walked to the window and looked out through the glass. His expression changed instantly. "There really is a paper ball outside the window." The female invigilator immediately walked over. "All candidates, stay in your seats." No whispering. A wave of suppressed commotion swept through the exam hall. Someone whispered, "There really is a note." No way. How dare someone do this during the college entrance exam? Zhou Ju stood there, his hands still raised. The invigilator looked at him. "You just reported Lin Jianhua for cheating. What did you see?" Zhou Ju's Adam's apple bobbed. "I saw her paying attention to the window." I said, "I paid attention to the window because I heard an unusual sound and reported it to the teacher immediately. Before the exam started, I had already requested to lock the window, and it was recorded in the exam log. If I really wanted to cheat, why would I actively request to lock the window?" The male invigilator's expression turned serious. He looked at Zhou Ju. "Do you have any other evidence?" Zhou Ju said, She has always had good grades. Maybe she arranged for someone in advance." As soon as he said this, someone nearby couldn't help but laugh. "Good grades are now a reason for cheating." I looked at Zhou Ju and slowly asked, "What you just said was, she was waiting for the answers, not, she was looking out the window. How did you determine that the paper ball outside the window contained answers?" Zhou Ju pressed his lips together. He was usually very articulate, humble in front of teachers, gentle with classmates, reasonable with parents, but now, he was trapped by my question, unable to respond, because he was too anxious. The note hadn't come in, yet he reported me directly following the script from my previous life. That was the flaw. The female invigilator immediately said, "Zhou Ju, please sit down. Don't jump to conclusions before the investigation is clear." Zhou Ju's face turned ugly, but he had no choice but to sit back down. The male invigilator did not open the window. He first used his phone to contact the examination management team, then instructed everyone to place their hands on the desktop and not to touch anything near the window. About 2 minutes later, the inspectors and floor exam management staff arrived. They stood in the corridor outside the window, bypassed through the other side safety passage to the outer platform area, and used evidence collection bags to pick up the crumpled paper ball. Throughout the entire process, no examinee was allowed to approach. I sat in my seat, watching the transparent evidence bag being held up. The paper ball was tightly crumpled, with blue-black handwriting still visible at the edges. The inspector asked through the window, "Who first noticed the anomaly just now?" The invigilator pointed to me. "Lin Jianhua. She requested to lock the window before the exam began and also reported the anomaly outside the window first during the exam." The inspector then asked, "Who reported the cheating?" Zhou Ju stood up, a trace of composure already returning to his face. "Teacher, I was just maintaining exam discipline. I saw Lin Jianhua acting abnormally, so I reported it." I didn't interrupt. Now was not the time to argue. Arguing would only make things messy. I wanted them to write every word down. The inspector instructed the invigilators to continue overseeing the exam while recording the situation in the examination room. The exam was paused for less than 10 minutes. Some people started to grow anxious. I knew that time during the college entrance exam was precious, but I couldn't back down. If I gave an inch, my life would once again be trampled into the mud by them. After the invigilators made up for the lost time, the exam resumed. I lowered my head and continued answering questions. This time, I wrote more steadily. At Zhou Ju's end, however, he frequently stopped writing. I could feel his gaze falling on me several times, like a knife, but I wasn't afraid. A knife leaves marks only when it strikes, and the more marks, the more evidence. When the bell rang for the end of the Chinese language exam, no one immediately got up. The invigilators collected papers, sealed them, and gathered the answer sheets. I watched my own answer sheet being placed into the bag, and for the first time, I truly felt the sensation of living once more. In my previous life, my college entrance exam had died that morning. In this life, I had saved it. After the exam ended, the proctor called both me and Zhou Ju, along with the two invigilators, to the exam affairs office. As we passed through the hallway, Zhou Ju suddenly lowered his voice and said, "Lin Jianhua, making a scene like this won't do you any good." I stopped and turned to look at him. "I'm not making a scene," I said, meeting his eyes, enunciating each word. "I'm protecting my college entrance exam, and of course, if anyone tries to ruin it, I'll protect it to the end." He said nothing more. The air conditioning in the exam affairs office was set very low. On the desk lay the transparent evidence bag, the crumpled paper already unfolded, but only the investigators could see it. I stood to one side, my palms slightly sweaty, not from fear, but because my body still remembered the agony of being interrogated in my past life. Back then, I sat here alone. Zhou Ju stood by the door, and the teachers looked at me like I was trash. When homeroom teacher Lu Min rushed in, his first words were, "Lin Jianhua, you've disappointed me so much." I cried and said, "Teacher, I didn't cheat," but he replied, "If you confess now, I can still help you get a lighter punishment." Lighter? They wanted me to admit to a crime I didn't commit, then bury my future with those two words. Now, the office door opened again. Homeroom teacher Lu Min hurried in. Seeing both me and Zhou Ju, his face tightened. "What's going on? How could something happen in the very first subject of the college entrance exam?" Zhou Ju immediately lowered his head. "Teacher Lu, I just saw something unusual. I had to report it." Familiar words. In my past life, he did the same, always positioning himself in the safest spot. I didn't wait for Lu Min to speak. I said first, "Teacher Lu, I proactively requested to lock the window before the exam started. During the exam, I reported the sound of something being thrown from outside immediately. The note never entered the exam room, and I never touched it. The invigilation records and inspection records can all prove this." Lu Min was taken aback, probably not expecting me to be so calm. He instinctively looked at the invigilators. The male invigilator nodded. "The facts are accurate." Lu Min's expression grew complicated. The reprimand he had prepared got stuck in his throat. The proctor asked me, "Why did you request to lock the window before the exam?" I said, "Because I was temporarily reassigned to a seat by the window, and I was worried about external interference. The college entrance exam is very important to me. I didn't want any accidents." He asked, "Did you know in advance that someone would throw a note?" I looked up. "No, but I do know. Any risk that could affect the fairness of the exam should be eliminated in advance." There was no flaw in this statement. I couldn't say I had been reborn, and I didn't need to. My caution was reason enough. Now it was Zhou Ju's turn. The inspector asked him, "You say Lin Jianhua cheated. Did you see her touch the note?" Zhou Ju paused for a second. "No." "Did you see her communicating with anyone outside the window?" "No." "Then why do you think she cheated?" Zhou Ju looked up at me. She was too calm after hearing the sound. A normal person wouldn't react that fast. I almost laughed out loud. In my past life, I was flustered, and they said I was guilty. In this life, I was calm, and they said I was abnormal. Turns out, they didn't care about my reaction. They just wanted me to be guilty. I said, "Zhou Ju, before you reported me, you hadn't even read the contents of the paper ball. What makes you think it was cheating?" Answers. The inspector turned to him too. Zhou Ju's face stiffened. "I was just suspicious." I nodded. "Then please make it clear in the record. Classmate Zhou Ju did not see me touch the note, did not see me communicate with anyone outside, and only subjectively suspected me of cheating." The office fell silent for a moment. The male invigilator glanced at me. The inspector wrote it down. Zhou Ju finally couldn't hold back. "Lin Jianhua, do you have to nitpick every word like this?" I said, "Yes, because when it comes to your future, it can be ruined with just one sentence, so to protect it, you have to account for every single word." Lu Min's face changed. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he stayed silent. There was still an exam in the afternoon, so the exam committee temporarily let us go back to rest, with further investigation to be notified later. When I walked out of the office, my phone had just turned on and dozens of messages popped up. In the class group chat, Su Man had already posted the first message, "Everyone, don't spread rumors, Jianhua might just be confused for a moment." the pressure of the college entrance exam is too much. I stared at those words. The nightmare of my past life had started again, just in a different way, but this time, I didn't break down. I took a screenshot and saved it, then looked up toward the end of the hallway. Sue Man stood there, phone in hand. Her eyes red as if she truly felt sorry for me. I walked toward her. She said softly, "Jianyue, don't blame everyone, we're worried about you. If you have any difficulties, you can tell me." I looked at her. On her screen, still open, was a chat interface with the note, "Zhou." I smiled. "Sue Man, why are your hands shaking?" Her face instantly turned pale. Sue Man hid her phone behind her back, quickly, but I had already seen the panic in her eyes in that moment, even more obvious than Zhou's. In my past life, I always thought Sue Man was just someone who would side with whoever she loved and trample on whoever was down on their luck. It wasn't until I repeated a year and saw those anonymous posts on the new school's forum that I realized the truth. I heard Lin Jianyue was caught cheating before and even turned around to accuse others of framing her. She's really good at pretending. Even the teachers have been fooled by her. She was extremely jealous of the top male student in her class getting a direct admission, so she deliberately smeared him. The tone of those words was exactly like Sue Man's. I later found out, she had a long-standing crush on Zhou. In the second semester of senior year, Zhou helped her with a few problems, and she convinced herself she was the most special person in his life. As for me, the one who always managed to outscore Zhou by a few points, in her eyes, helping Zhou wasn't just for his sake, it was also about kicking me off the grade ranking. Now she wants to start spreading rumors again. I won't give her another chance. I held up my phone and said to her, "I took a screenshot of the message you just sent in the group chat." Sue Man forced a smile. "I was just worried people might gossip, so I told everyone not to spread it. When I said you had a momentary lapse of judgment, I didn't mean any harm. Whether there was harm or not, we'll see the outcome later," I said before turning and walking away. She called after me, "Lin Jianyue, can't you just let it go? We're all classmates." I didn't look back. The word classmates had been used to guilt-trip me too many times in my past life. Don't hold grudges between classmates. Give some face as classmates. Don't ruin someone's future as classmates. But when they ruined my future, not a single one of them remembered I was their classmate. Before the afternoon math exam, I didn't go home. My mom called me 6 times, and I didn't answer any of them. It wasn't because I was afraid she'd worry. I knew her too well. She wouldn't ask if I'd been wronged. She'd only ask, "What exactly did you do? Why did the teacher call me?" Sure enough, after the 7th unanswered call, she sent a voice message. I played it on speaker. Her sharp voice pierced through. "Lin Jianyue, have you lost your mind? Causing trouble on the first day of the college entrance exams. Your stepfather's relatives all know you're taking the exam today. If word gets out that you cheated, where will I put my face?" After listening, I saved it. In this life, I won't swallow these words anymore. They're all evidence. Not legal evidence, but evidence for cutting ties. I performed very well in the math exam. Zhou wasn't in the same exam hall, which made me feel much more relaxed, but when I walked out of the exam hall, the looks in the corridor had already changed. Some people glanced at me secretly, while others whispered to those beside them. Sue Man's words had already taken effect. Might have had a momentary lapse of judgment, was more poisonous than directly insulting me. It was as if she had already convicted me while pretending to plead on my behalf. I walked out of the teaching building, and my homeroom teacher, Lu Min, was waiting for me at the stairwell. "Lin Jianyue, come with me for a moment," he said, his expression grim. I followed him into a temporary office, where, besides him, there was also the grade-level director, Director Huang, the one who usually cared most about the school's college admission rates. In my past life, it was he who had decided to suppress my case as a candidate improperly receiving answers, and then notified me as quickly as possible that my eligibility for the remaining exams had been revoked. In this life, he still frowned at the sight of me. "Lin Jianyue, what happened this morning has caused quite a stir," he said. I remained standing without taking a seat. "Director Huang, what caused the stir? Was someone throwing an answer slip into the exam hall?" "Not me. I was the one who reported the anomaly." He paused. Lu Min immediately chimed in, "The teacher isn't saying you're necessarily at fault. It's just that any disturbance during the college entrance exam could affect your mindset. Would you like to write a statement first? Make it sincere. Admit that you didn't handle the situation calmly enough." I looked at him. Where did I not handle it calmly enough? Lu Min lowered his voice. "There was no Need for you to confront Zhou Ju on the spot and make everyone uncomfortable. Zhou Ju was just trying to uphold exam discipline. Here we go again. For discipline, for the class, for the greater good. In my past life, they piled these words on me until I could hardly breathe. I said, Teacher Lu, Zhou Ju reported me for cheating without any evidence. That's not upholding discipline, that's slander. And now you're asking me to write a statement. Do you want me to admit I did something wrong? Lu Min's expression darkened. Lin Jianyue, don't think of your teachers as so malicious. Then please tell me clearly, what exactly did I do wrong? The office fell silent. Director Huang tapped the table. Your attitude. I directly took out my phone and opened the recording interface. Director Huang, Teacher Lu, I will cooperate with the school's investigation, but I won't write any statement that blurs responsibility. If the school needs my account, I'll write it, before the exam. I proactively requested the window to be locked. During the exam, I proactively reported an anomaly. I did not touch the slip, nor did I communicate with anyone outside. Lu Min saw my recording interface and immediately changed his expression. You're recording? Yes, to protect myself. Director Huang clearly disapproved. A student recording a conversation with a teacher. I looked at him. An accusation of cheating on the college entrance exam is enough to ruin someone's life. Now, someone has reported me without evidence, and there are already posts in the class group chat hinting that I cheated. If I don't record, who will protect me? After I said this, even Lu Min fell silent. They weren't unaware of the serious consequences. They just thought, in my past life, that I was an ordinary student with no background or connections, and suppressing the matter was the easiest solution. But in this life, I'm not making it easy for them. Director Huang softened his tone. The school will investigate, so don't get worked up. I said, I'm not worked up, I only have 3 requests. He frowned. What are they? First, the school must issue a written statement confirming that I have not been found guilty of cheating and that it will not affect my continued participation in the exams. Second, preserve all exam records, surveillance footage, and the slip from this morning. Third, require the homeroom teacher to post a notice in the class group chat prohibiting the spread of unverified information. Lu Min blurted out, that's not appropriate, is it? I asked, what's inappropriate about it? He avoided my gaze. Director Huang said, we can't just issue a written statement casually, then I'll consult the Education Bureau about the proper procedure. I said, putting my phone away, this is the college entrance exam. It's not just an internal school matter. Someone throwing answers into the exam hall already involves exam security. If the school is unwilling to handle it, I can file a police report. Director Huang's expression completely changed. In my past life, I didn't understand. I thought teachers were everything, and school was the only one who could decide my fate. In this life, I know the college entrance exam isn't something a single office can dictate. As long as I don't give in, as long as I leave a trail, as long as I push things through the proper channels, they can't just pin the blame on me. Lu Min's tone softened a bit. Jianyue, the teacher is looking out for you too. Wouldn't calling the police be making too big a deal? You still have to fill out your, and when admissions see this, I cut him off. See what? See me actively protecting exam discipline, or see the school suppressing a victim student and forbidding them from reporting it. His face went pale. The office door suddenly burst open. My mom rushed in. She was wearing a wrinkled floral shirt today, sweat on her forehead, and grabbed my arm as soon as she entered. Lin Jianyue, what exactly did you do? Her grip made my wrist ache. In my past life, it was the same. Without asking why or looking at evidence, she'd first condemn me as the guilty one. I looked down at her hand and said calmly, let go. She froze. What kind of attitude is that? I said let go. She got even angrier. You've gotten yourself into this shameful mess and still dare to talk back to me. The teacher called the parents. Could they possibly be wronging you? As soon as she said that, Lu Min and Director Huang's expressions turned awkward, because right now, no one could actually prove I was at fault, yet my mom had already convicted me for them. I pried her fingers off one by one. The matter is still under investigation. Every word you say now, I'll remember. She stared wide-eyed. What do you mean? I'm your mom. That's why I'm reminding you. Don't help outsiders convict your daughter without evidence. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Have you lost your mind? I didn't bother with her anymore and turned to Director Huang. My request, please have the school respond as soon as possible, otherwise, I'll file a police report before tonight's study session. With that, I turned and left. Behind me came my mom's low, furious voice. Teacher, she's just spoiled by me. Handle her however you see fit. I won't shield her. I didn't stop walking. A white light streamed in through the window at the end of the hallway. And I suddenly felt that the Lin Jianhua from my past life, who knelt in the office crying, begging them to believe her, was truly dead. The person alive now didn't ask for their trust, only made them afraid. In the evening, the school gate was packed with parents. It was the first day of the college entrance exam, and everyone was discussing whether the questions were hard, what the essay topic was, how their kids were doing. Only I seemed to be isolated in a cold storage zone. My mom followed behind me, her voice low but every word sharp. You come home with me right now and explain everything, I said. I'm going to the police station. She grabbed me. Haven't you embarrassed us enough? I stopped. There were a lot of people at the school gate, and she cared most about face, in my past life. Because of that, she forced me to apologize in the family group chat, saying, I lost my composure during the exam and did something I shouldn't have, and when I refused, she cried, saying I made her lose face in front of her in-laws. Later, my stepfather said a daughter who cheated was worthless and might as well drop out to work early. Back then, I still fantasized that if the truth came out, my mom would stand by me, but until I died, she never once said, I believe you. In this life, I no longer place my hopes on her. I pulled my hand back. Mom, if you keep dragging me, I'll ask the police officer at the gate for help. She let go as if burned. Lin Jianhua, are you threatening me? I'm just telling you the boundaries. Her face flushed with anger. Have you become stupid from all that studying? What boundaries? I'm your mother. I looked at her and suddenly smiled. Then why didn't you say you were my mother back in the office just now? She froze. I didn't wait for her and walked straight toward the police officer on duty at the school gate. There were officers maintaining order outside the college entrance exam venue. I walked over, handed over my ID and admission ticket. Officer, I'd like to consult and file a report. During the college entrance exam this morning, someone threw an answer note into my seat from outside the window. I suspect someone deliberately set me up to cheat. The officer on duty immediately became serious. You're a test taker? Yes, it happened during the first subject, Chinese language. The invigilator and inspector have already sealed the note, but I'm worried that the surveillance around the exam venue might be overwritten, and I'm also concerned that someone might continue spreading rumors to affect my subsequent exams. I spoke clearly and steadily. The officer asked me to first register at the temporary police post. My mother stood not far away, watching me actually enter the police post, her face alternating between pale and red. She didn't dare follow me in to cause trouble because there were police inside. During registration, I laid out the time, exam room, seat changes, window locking records, the paper ball from outside the window, the report, and the screenshots of Sue Mann's group chat in order. Officer Zhao looked at me after listening. Do you have a suspect? I said, yes, but I don't want to rely on guesses. I only asked to preserve the evidence and retrieve the surveillance footage around the exam venue, especially near the small shop on the side of the old teaching building and the third-floor platform. Officer Zhao glanced up at me. You're very calm, I said, because I know, if I don't handle this calmly, I'll never be able to clear my name. He nodded. Since it involves exam security during the college entrance exam, we'll communicate with the exam committee. First, focus on your exams and don't have private conflicts with the other party. Thank you. By the time I got the filing receipt, it was already dark. I took a photo of the receipt, uploaded it to the cloud, and also sent it to another email of mine. In my past life, my biggest loss was that everything existed only in my words. I said I didn't cheat. They asked, where's the evidence? I said someone framed me. They asked, where's the evidence? I said the note wasn't mine. They said, but it was at your feet. In this life, I will leave traces at every step. Walking out of the police post, my mother was waiting for me under a tree. Her face was grim. Are you satisfied now, dragging the police into this? What will your stepfather think when he finds out? I asked. What does he think have to do with me? She glared at me. How dare you talk to me like that? Who has supported your education all these years? I looked at her, my heart now calm. Over the years, I've relied on scholarships, weekend tutoring, and holiday jobs at bookstores. My stepfather did contribute some living expenses, but she kept every bit on her lips. A pen, a reference book, a meal. The most she said to me was, you're not my biological child. I've done my utmost to support you through high school, and my mother always told me to endure, to be sensible since I was living under someone else's roof, not to be too strong-willed as a girl, to just go to a local normal university and come back to take care of her later. It wasn't that she lacked the ability to protect me, she just wasn't willing to offend her current husband for my sake. I said, "Don't worry, you won't have to support me in the future." She froze for a moment, then sneered, "Do you think college is free? Do you think you can survive away from home?" "I can," I said softly but firmly. "Whether I can survive or not doesn't need your approval." She raised her hand to hit me. This time, I stepped back, her hand missed, and she stood frozen. I looked at her. There are surveillance cameras and police at the school gate. Think it through. She trembled with rage. "You really were raised on wolf's milk." I didn't reply. My phone buzzed. Tang Ran had messaged me. Tang Ran is my desk mate, usually quiet but not a bad person. In my past life, after the incident, she once privately sent me a message saying, "I don't think you're the type to cheat." Maybe it was too late. She didn't speak up, and I didn't blame her. After all, it's normal for an ordinary student to be afraid of the school and public opinion. In this life, she sent me a screenshot. Su Man said in a small group, "Don't spread what happened this morning," but I heard the note really had answers. "And Jian, you might be in big trouble this time." Someone below asked, "Didn't they say the note didn't get in?" Su Man, "Who knows if it got in? Zhou Ju reported it, so he must have seen something." I stared at those lines, my eyes turning cold. Su Man was more anxious than in my past life. Because the note didn't get in, she had to first plant the impression that Lin Jianyu has a problem. I replied to Tang Ran, "Thanks, can you also send me the full member list?" Tang Ran responded after a dozen seconds, "Sure, but don't say I sent it." "Don't worry." She quickly sent a second screenshot. The group was called Senior Year Sprint Support Group, with 12 members, the group owner being Su Man, and Zhou Ju was also in it. I saved it, then sent it to Officer Zhao as supplementary evidence. The involved students were spreading unverified information before the investigation results came out, potentially harming my reputation and exam performance. After sending it, I put my phone away. My mom was still scolding, "So now you won't even listen to your mother, huh?" I said, "I still need to review for tomorrow's exam. I'm going back to the hotel near the school first." She was taken aback. "You're not coming home?" "No." "What about money?" "I have my own." She laughed as if it were a joke. "Where did you get money?" I didn't tell her. Since the start of my sophomore year, I had secretly saved half of every competition prize, writing fee, and tutoring fee. In my past life, I gave that money to her, saying I wanted to lighten the family's burden. But after my results were cancelled and I wanted to use it to retake the exams, she said, "The money was already used to buy a computer for your stepbrother. In this life, I won't hand over a single cent." I turned to leave, and she suddenly said coldly, "Lin Jianyu, if you dare not come home today, don't bother coming back to this family ever again." In my past life, that sentence would have terrified me. Now, it only felt liberating. I looked back at her. "Fine." She froze. I said, "I recorded that. Don't say later that I'm unfilial. You told me not to come back." Her face instantly turned ugly. I didn't look at her again, walking straight to the small hotel across the street, swiped my ID, paid, and entered the room. After entering the room, the first thing I did was not cry. Instead, I organized all today's evidence into a folder chronologically. First, the last-minute seat change. Second, voluntarily locking the window. Third, the object thrown from outside. Fourth, Zhou Ju's baseless accusation. Fifth, Su Man's gossip in the group chat. Sixth, the school's attempt to brush it aside. Seventh, filing a police report. After sorting everything, I took out the review materials I needed for tomorrow. The sound of car traffic outside was loud, the light in the room was harshly white, and I sat at the small desk, flipping open my math error notebook. On this night in my previous life, my mom locked me in the room, and I cried until dawn. This time, I finished 2 sets of tough exam problems. At midnight, I received a new message from Tang Ran, "Lin Jianyu. I just remembered something. After yesterday's evening self-study, I saw Su Man and Zhou Ju talking behind the experimental building." Su Man was holding a blue sticky note pad. I stared at the screen and slowly sat up straight. Blue sticky note. The note from my previous life was exactly blue. The next morning, I arrived at the exam site 40 minutes early. The school gate was packed with people, parents holding water and breakfast, teachers raising class signs, and the air thick with tension and feverish anticipation. I walked in with my transparent exam pouch. As soon as I reached the class assembly point, the chatter around me dropped to a low murmur. Several classmates glanced away the moment they saw me. Su Man stood beside Lu Min, her eyes slightly red, looking like she hadn't slept all night. Zhou Ju was there too, wearing the same white shirt as yesterday, his hair neatly arranged, his face carrying just the right amount of exhaustion. When he saw me, he walked over proactively. Lin Jianhua. About yesterday, I've been thinking it over all night. The surrounding classmates immediately perked up their ears. I knew he was about to put on another act. Sure enough, Zhou Ju spoke in a gentle tone. I admit I might have been too nervous at the time, and my words were harsh, but the college entrance exam is this important, I couldn't just pretend I hadn't noticed something unusual. I hope you can understand. Such polished words, showcasing his sense of responsibility while reinforcing the impression that there was something unusual about me. In my previous life, I was completely fooled by his kind of talk. I looked at him. Yesterday you said I cheated, today you say your words were harsh. Zhou Ju, being harsh and falsely accusing someone are not the same thing. The surroundings fell silent. The smile on Zhou Ju's face froze. Su Man immediately jumped in. Jianhua, Zhou Ju was just being kind. There's no need for you to be so aggressive, is there? I turned to her. Was it also out of kindness when you said in the group chat yesterday that I lost my head for a moment? Su Man's face paled. Some classmate whispered, "What group chat?" She panicked right away. I was just afraid others might spread rumors, so you spread them first. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone nearby to hear. Lu Min hurried over. Enough, the exam is about to start, so everyone keep it down. His gaze held a warning as he looked at me. I knew he was afraid the situation would escalate, but I wasn't the one escalating it. They were the ones who threw the first mud. I took out my phone and opened the Notes app. Mr. Lu, I already reported this to the police last night and provided them with screenshots of the group chat. Today, I just want to take the exam in peace. If anyone continues to spread unverified information, I'll keep collecting evidence. My words were like a bucket of cold water. The few classmates who were still hoping for drama immediately lowered their heads. Su Man's lips turned pale. A flicker of gloom finally flashed in Zhou Ju's eyes. Lu Min lowered his voice. Lin Jianhua, do you really have to ruin your relationships with your classmates like this? I replied, they were the ones who ruined my life first. He was left speechless. Before entering the exam hall, Tang ran quietly past by me and slipped me a folded piece of paper. I didn't open it until I was inside the building. It contained a few messages Su Man had sent in the small group chat last night. I managed to screenshot one. He asked Zhou Ju, what if the window isn't open? Zhou Ju replied, stick to the original plan. My heart skipped a beat. The paper also had a handwritten note from Tang Ran with the time, 42 minutes into the Chinese exam yesterday morning, exactly when the paper ball outside the window hadn't been thrown in. I immediately took a photo of the paper to save it. Tang Ran didn't dare send the screenshot directly, probably afraid of being exposed. But it didn't matter, her warning was enough. The exam continued. Over the next 2 days, Zhou Ju and Su Man noticeably toned it down. They didn't dare accuse me of cheating publicly anymore, but their underhanded actions didn't stop. Someone posted on an anonymous forum, one-time cheating, in the college entrance exam hall, and still allowed to continue the exam. Where's the fairness? The post didn't mention my name, but it described a top 3 female student from a key high school. A paper ball outside the exam hall window, a male classmate bravely reporting it. Every keyword pointed to me. By the time I saw it, the post already had dozens of replies. How can someone like this still be allowed to take the exam? The guy who reported it must be miserable, trying to uphold discipline and getting bitten back. High-achieving students are better at cheating, they know how to fake it. I didn't rush to clarify, because doing so now would only drag me into a war of words. I took screenshots, recorded the screen, saved the link, and sent it to Officer Zhao and the public email of the Education Bureau. At the same time, I messaged Tang Ran, do you know who posted this on the forum? Tang Ran didn't reply for a long time, until that evening, when she finally sent a message. I'm not sure, but Su Man borrowed Qin Jia's second-hand phone from the next class today. I asked, are Qin Jia and her close? Very close. Qin Jia is also in that small group chat. The chain of evidence is still incomplete, but the direction is already clear. On the day the last exam of the Gaokao ended, everyone rushed out of the testing hall. The cheers outside were deafening. Some were crying, some laughing, some throwing their review materials into the sky. I stood on the steps, looking up at the blue sky, and let out a long sigh. I had finished the entire exam. I wasn't taken away, I wasn't disqualified, I didn't fall on the first day. This was an outcome my previous self had fought desperately for but never attained, but it's not enough, I won't just seek my own innocence, I'll make them pay. Zhou Ju walked up from behind. He, too, seemed relieved. Lin Jianyue, now that the Gaokao is over, can we have a proper talk? I turned to face him. About what? He lowered his voice. If you keep digging into this, it won't be good for anyone. You weren't disqualified, and I'm just a misunderstanding. Let's both take a step back. I almost laughed. Take a step back, in my past life. He trampled over my corpse to get a recommendation for college. This time, his plan didn't work, and now he wants to step back. I said, are you scared? His expression shifted. Scared of what? Scared that the note will be traced back to you. Zhou Ju stared at me, his eyes turning ice cold. Lin Jianyue, don't push things too far. I stepped forward. Zhou Ju, do you know what pushing too far really means? I looked him straight in the eye, enunciating every word. It means knowing full well that a single note can ruin someone's entire life, and still deliberately planting it inside the exam hall. His pupils contracted sharply. I didn't miss it. He forced himself to stay calm. Don't you slander me like that. Don't worry, I won't just rely on words. Just then, my phone rang. Officer Zhao was calling. Lin Jianyue, we retrieved the surveillance footage from the convenience store you mentioned. There's a man in the footage who approached the window of your exam hall during the Chinese test. Do you have time to come identify him? I looked at Zhou Ju and smiled. Yes, I do. Zhou Ju's face, under the sunlight, turned pale. Bit by bit, the surveillance footage retrieved from the police station was clearer than I had expected. The small convenience store was just outside the side entrance of the old teaching building, and the camera angle was a bit off. In my previous life, no one had thought to check it at all. In the footage, after the Chinese exam started, a man in a black short-sleeved shirt appeared from the mouth of the alley. He was wearing a snapback cap, carrying a bottle of water, pretending to pass by, but he passed by 3 times, each time looking up at the third-floor window. The third time, he stopped by the old wall, pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, then, taking advantage of the guard turning away, he quickly moved closer to the area beneath the platform. The camera couldn't capture the motion of him tossing the paper, but it did show him stumbling backward in a panic afterward, nearly hitting a trash can. Officer Zhao paused the footage. Do you recognize him? I stared at that blurry side profile. I hadn't seen him in my past life, but now I knew where to start looking. Based on who it might be, I don't recognize him, but he's probably not a student's parent. He kept staring at the window by the third-floor wall. Officer Zhao nodded. We've checked the surrounding surveillance. He later went to the convenience store to buy cigarettes. His WeChat name is Wang Hai. Wang Hai. I silently committed that name to memory. Does he have any connections to people at our school? Officer Zhao glanced at me, still looking into it. Don't dig too much for now, just wait for the results calmly. I nodded. After leaving the police station, I didn't go home. Instead, I headed to that convenience store. The owner was a woman in her 50s, organizing the freezer out front. I bought a bottle of water and casually asked, Ma'am, on the morning of the first day of the college entrance exam, did a man in a snapback cap come in to buy cigarettes? I heard he almost got chased off by the security guard. The owner looked up at me. You mean that guy in the black clothes? Yeah, there was one, acting all sneaky. I thought he might be a car thief. Did he say anything? He asked me if the third floor of the old teaching building was an exam room. I told him it was the college entrance exam and not to get too close. He said his sister was taking the exam in there. He was nervous. Sister? I laughed coldly to myself. Wang Hai was in his 20s, and Su Man happened to have a cousin who hung around nearby. In my previous life, Su Man once casually mentioned her cousin. He doesn't have any proper job, just runs errands and collects money for people all day, and I didn't think twice about it back then. Now, every old remark has become a clue. I asked the owner, did he pay with his phone? Yeah, if the police come to ask, would you cooperate? The owner looked at me warily. Who are you? I pulled out my exam admission ticket. I'm the student who was hit by that note that day. The owner's expression changed instantly. So it's you? I heard about that. Don't be scared, little girl. If someone really tried to harm you, I'll tell the truth. I thanked her sincerely. Before leaving, I glanced at the camera at the entrance of the convenience store. In my past life, after I was wrongly accused, everyone stared at that note inside the exam room. No one looked outward. No one asked where the note came from. No one checked who threw it. because as long as I was labeled as cheating, everything became convenient. But evil doesn't appear out of nowhere. It leaves footprints, transfers, chat logs, and the greed and malice in human nature. Just follow the trail, and it will always come to light. The next day, the Education Bureau investigation team officially stepped in. I received a notice to cooperate with the review. At the same time, the school was also required to submit a complete record of the exam proceedings. This made Lu Min restless. He called me, his tone much softer than before. Jianhua, when they talk to you, just be honest, no emotions. I said, I've always been honest. He paused for a moment. I know you feel wronged, but you also have to consider the school's reputation. If this blows up too much, it'll affect your future. I cut him off. Teacher Lu, the school's reputation is built on fairness, not on my silence. He went quiet on the other end. I added, also, please post a notice in the class group right away banning rumors. I formally requested this earlier. Lu Min reluctantly agreed. 10 minutes later, his message finally appeared in the class group, regarding the unusual incident during the college entrance exam. The relevant authorities are currently investigating. No student may spread unverified information or post suggestive or offensive remarks. Violators will face serious disciplinary action from the school. As soon as the message was out, the group went dead silent. Su Man said nothing, Zhou Ju said nothing either, but I knew they wouldn't stop behind the scenes. Sure enough, that night Tang Ran sent me another message. Su Man said in the small group, delete the chat history, don't bring trouble on yourselves. I asked, did you leave the group? No, I saved everything I could. This time around, she sent me 3 screenshots. The first, Su Man in the small group saying, tomorrow, don't mention that the note didn't make it into the exam hall. Just say Zhou Ju saw Lin Jianhua doing something suspicious with his own eyes. The second, Zhou Ju replying, don't give too many details. The key point is that she's guilty and nervous. The third, Su Man asking, what about Wang Hai? He won't get caught, right? Zhou Ju replied, he took the money to do the job, so he just needs to keep his mouth shut. I stared at that last line, my fingers tightening bit by bit. Money, there it was at last. I saved the screenshots in 3 copies, then asked Tang Ran, are you willing to submit these screenshots to the investigation team? You don't have to go public right now, but I need you to verify the source. Tang Ran was silent for a long time. I understood she was scared. She's just an ordinary student, about to fill out her college preference form, and didn't want to get caught up in trouble. A few minutes later, she replied, I'm willing, but I don't want my parents to know. My nose stung a little, not with sentimental weakness, but because in this life, someone was finally willing to stand up a little before the truth had already won. I replied, thank you, I'll do my best to protect you. On the 3rd day, Officer Zhao got a new lead. Wang Hai had been found. At first, he claimed he was just passing by, but the police found a transfer record in his phone, 500 yuan, with the note, materials fee. The payment account was verified to be linked to Su Man's mother's old phone number. Of course, Su Man could claim she didn't know anything about it, but the problem was that she and Wang Hai were relatives, and on the day of the exam, he appeared precisely outside my test hall window. Put together, these details were no coincidence. The investigation team summoned Su Man that day, and I was also at the Education Bureau. The hallway was long, the walls glaringly white. Su Man sat on a chair, her eyes red and swollen. Beside her were her parents. Her mother kept scolding, our man is timid. She couldn't have done something like this. Don't scare her. As soon as Su Man saw me, tears streamed down her face. Jianhua, I really didn't know Wang Hai would go to your exam venue. I just asked him to help deliver something. I stopped in front of her. Deliver what? She choked up, a note filled with answers. She shook her head, crying, I didn't write it. I really didn't write it. The hallway fell silent instantly. Her mother yanked her abruptly. What nonsense are you talking about? Su Man herself realized she had let something slip, her face turning pale. I looked at her, feeling no sympathy at all. If she didn't write it, then who did? The answer was very close. The meeting room door opened, and a staff member called Su Man in. As she passed by me, she whispered, Lin Jianhua, just let me go. I was only helping. I didn't mean to harm you. I looked at her. You people are always like this. When the knife is plunged into someone else's body, you say you just handed it over. She cried even harder, but I wouldn't soften, because in my past life, when I died, she didn't cry. She posted one last message on the forum, Some people have weak mental resilience but always blame others. I remember this score. Before the Education Bureau's first hearing, the school called me in for a talk first. This time, the location wasn't a temporary office but the principal's conference room. Across the long table sat Principal Feng, Grade Director Huang, Lu Min, and a teacher responsible for legal affairs, a much bigger setup than in my past life. Back then, they handled me in just 10 minutes, a violation confirmation form and a clear evidence statement to kick me out of the exam venue. Now, they couldn't rush, because from the very beginning, I had placed every step into the formal process. Principal Feng appeared quite cultured. He poured me a glass of water. Lin Jianhua, you've had a tough few days. The school takes your situation very seriously and will fully cooperate with the investigation. I didn't touch the water, thank you, Principal. Principal Feng sighed. But now, some voices online are having a very bad impact on the school. You are an outstanding student of our school, and you should trust that the school will protect you. I said, I trust the system. He paused in his movements. I continued, so I hope the school will put that protection into writing. Director Huang's face soured again. Lin Jianhua, the school has said it will handle it. Why are you still? Principal Feng raised his hand to stop him. What kind of document do you want? I took out a pre-written application. First, confirm that I fully participated in this year's college entrance exam. The school has not determined that I cheated. Second, confirm that in the abnormal Chinese exam incident, I was the proactive reporter, not the subject of disciplinary action. Third, confirm that the school has received my complaint about classmates spreading rumors and has initiated an internal investigation. I pushed the paper across. Please have the school stamp it. Lu Min couldn't help but say, stamping it is no small matter. I looked at him. Is canceling a student's future a small matter? His face flushed red. Principal Feng looked down at the application and was silent for a long time. I knew he was weighing it. Of course, the school didn't want to stamp it. Doing so would admit that the matter hadn't been finalized and that I wasn't a student they could casually sacrifice, but they were even more afraid of me continuing to complain. This case already involved the security of the college entrance exam, with the Education Bureau and police investigating. If the school still tried to blur the lines, it would only drag itself down. Finally, Principal Feng said, we can issue a written explanation for the first and second points. The third point requires verification. I nodded. Fine. Please specify the date. Director Huang glared at me, but I didn't notice. Lu Min suddenly softened his voice. Jianhua, the teacher knows you've been wrong this time, but Su Man and Zhou Ju are your classmates too. Everyone is still young, and some words may be immature. Could you not hold a grudge? I smiled. Teacher Lu, didn't you say just a few days ago that Zhou Ju was upholding exam discipline? His expression changed. I continued, now how does it become youthful immaturity? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I pulled another sheet of paper from my bag. This is a directory of screenshots of the rumors I've compiled, including the timeline of Su Man and Zhou Ju spreading unverified information in group chats and forums. If the school thinks this is merely youthful immaturity, please specify that in the handling opinion. Lu Min looked up sharply. Are you insisting on telling me? Please write it down. The office fell silent again. These adults were masters at verbally persuading people to endure, but once you asked them to sign something, they started to fear, because words leave a record, responsibility leaves a record. That afternoon, I obtained the school's written explanation. Though the wording was cautious, the key points were all there. I was not identified as a cheater. I was an active reporter of anomalies. My exam eligibility was unaffected. I photographed and saved the document. When I returned to the hotel, my mom and stepfather were blocking the doorway. My stepfather's face was dark, a cigarette between his fingers. You've got quite the nerve now, not even coming home, I said. Staying elsewhere during the college entrance exams keeps it quiet. He sneered. Quiet? I think you're feeling guilty, aren't you? Your mom told me everything. You made a cheating scandal at school, called the police. Do you know the neighbors are asking me? My mom stood by, her eyes darting away. She definitely hadn't told the whole story, just saying, something happened to me. I pulled out the school's explanation and handed it to him. Read clearly. The school hasn't found me guilty of cheating. My stepfather glanced at it and didn't take it. Who knows where this came from? Flies don't bite seamless eggs. That line again. I calmly put the document back. Fine, if you don't want to read it, but don't go around saying I cheated from now on, otherwise, I'll sue you too. He froze, then exploded. Sue who? Me, your father, you're not. His face darkened instantly. My mom panicked. Lin Jianhua, how dare you talk to your uncle like that? I said, he's right, I've got quite the nerve now. I opened the door. Starting today, you don't need to meddle in my affairs. I'll figure out my college tuition myself. I'll fill out my own college applications. Nobody touches my account, admission ticket, or ID. My stepfather sneered. You think having your ID card is enough? The household register is still at home, without the family's consent. Let's see how you manage. I paused. In my previous life, that was how he trapped me. After my exam results were cancelled, I wanted to go to another city to retake the exams. But I needed the household register for procedures. He locked it away, saying he was afraid I'd bring shame to the family. My mom cried on the side, saying she was in a tough spot. Back then, I was too weak, trapped in that home, like a bird with clipped wings. In this life, I won't wait for him to lock the door. I turned back to look at him. Thanks for the reminder. My stepfather frowned. What do you mean? I didn't answer. I just closed the door directly. That evening, I looked up the procedure for obtaining a household registration certificate and consulted the police station. The day after the college entrance exam ended, I went back home. No one was there. I unlocked the door with my own key. The household register was in the second drawer of the master bedroom nightstand. I knew this from my past life because my mom always kept important documents there. I didn't steal it. My page was in the register, and I had the right to use it. I took it out, photographed it, copied it, and brought it with me. I also took my birth certificate, bank card, competition certificates, and original awards. Before leaving, I sent my mom a message. I've taken my personal documents. If I need to use the household register later, I'll let you know in advance. Please don't withhold my ID. After sending it, I blocked my stepfather. My mom called, and I answered. Her first words were through tears. Jianhua, how did you become like this? You weren't like this before. I stood downstairs, looking at the window of the room I'd lived in for 6 years. There was no desk in there before. I did my homework at the corner of the dining table. When my stepbrother played games and complained about the noise of me flipping pages, my mom told me to go study in the hallway. I really wasn't like this before. I used to think that as long as I passed the exam and got out, everything would be fine. But my past life proved that getting out, they could still join forces to drag me down. I said, Mom, I was like that before, and I died once. She didn't understand, only cried harder. Don't say such unlucky things. I closed my eyes. Don't ever tell me to apologize again. Don't make me endure things for others. If you can't do that, we'll talk less. She suddenly went silent for a long time. I'm your mom. Are you really going to be this ruthless? I said. It's not me being ruthless. I looked up at the window. It's that you've never been on my side. With that, I hung up. This time, I didn't cry. The day of the Education Bureau hearing was very hot. I wore a white short-sleeved shirt and jeans, with my hair tied up. In my backpack were copies of all the materials. Before entering, I washed my face in the restroom. The girl in the mirror looked a bit pale, but her eyes were bright. I said to myself, Lin Jianhua, today you're not here to beg for innocence. Today you're here to reclaim it. In the hearing room, everyone was present. The investigation team sat at the front, the school representatives on the left, and my mom and I on the right. Zhou Ju's family and Su Man's family sat on the other side. Wang Hai didn't show up, reportedly under police questioning. Zhou Ju's parents looked very respectable. His father, in a dark shirt, shook hands with Principal Feng as soon as he entered, speaking with familiarity. His mother sat beside Zhou Ju, softly comforting him. Don't be afraid. You just reported an anomaly. You didn't do anything wrong. Zhou Ju kept his head down, as if he were the one deeply wronged. Su Man wasn't as steady. Her eyes were badly swollen, and she kept clutching the hem of her clothes. Her mother was still muttering under her breath, don't talk nonsense later. Hear me, you were just being used, being used. I heard those 4 words, but felt no stir inside me. They had already begun to distance themselves. Investigator Shen, the section chief, presided over the hearing. He was in his 40s, spoke slowly but every word was clear. Today, we are mainly reviewing the incident of answer slips being thrown outside the 3rd exam room during the Chinese college entrance exam. All personnel must state the facts truthfully. Anyone providing false testimony or concealing important information will bear corresponding responsibility. As these words fell, Su Man visibly trembled. The invigilators spoke first. They confirmed 3 key points. First, I was temporarily reassigned to a seat by the window. Second, I proactively requested to check and lock the window before the exam began. Third, during the exam, I immediately reported the anomaly outside the window. Without touching the slip, the male invigilator added, the paper ball was stuck outside the window at the time and did not enter the exam room. This statement was crucial. In my previous life, that slip fell at my feet, becoming the stone that crushed me. In this life, it didn't even make it through the window. Next, the proctor stated, the slip was sealed. The handover records were complete, and its content indeed included some Chinese exam answers and essay prompts. Section Chief Shen asked, do the answers on the slip correspond to the exam paper content? The staff replied, partial correspondence, with many errors. Zhou Ju's father immediately said, since it's answers, that proves someone wanted to cheat. What was wrong with Zhou Ju reporting it? Section Chief Shen looked at him, please do not interrupt. The issue now is, who arranged the slip? Who was meant to receive it, and why did classmate Zhou Ju directly accuse Jian Yu of cheating without seeing her touch the slip? Zhou Ju's father's face darkened. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't cry or play the victim, I simply stated the timeline. Before the exam, I was temporarily moved to the third row by the window. Since I was by the window, I was worried about outside interference and requested to lock it. About 40 minutes into the exam, there was a knocking sound from outside the window. I reported it to the teacher. Then classmate Zhou Ju stood up and accused me of cheating, but he didn't see me touch the slip or communicate with anyone outside. I submitted the school's incident report, the police filing receipt, and a directory of group chat screenshots. After the incident, classmate Su Man used phrases like Lin Jian, you might have had a momentary lapse, in multiple group chats, implying I cheated, and classmate Zhou Ju also guided others in a small group to call me guilty. I believe this constitutes secondary harm to my reputation. Su Man began to cry. I didn't. I was just worried about you. I looked at her, worried about me. So you first said I had a momentary lapse. She choked up. Section Chief Shen tapped the table. Classmate Su Man, you'll have a chance to speak later. Next, the investigation team played the surveillance footage from the entrance of the small shop. Wang Hai appeared in the frame. First looking up, then detouring, and finally approaching the side of the old teaching building. As the footage played frame by frame, everyone's expressions changed. Su Man's sobbing stopped. Section Chief Shen said, according to the police's preliminary verification, this individual is named Wang Hai and has a familial relationship with classmate Su Man. On the day of the college entrance exam, he approached the outer wall of the exam venue without a valid reason and threw a paper ball toward the window. Su Man's mother immediately shouted, he's just a relative. What does what he did have to do with our man? The staff then displayed a payment record, 500 yuan transfer. The payment account was linked to Su Man's mother's old phone number, with the note, materials fee. Su Man's mother turned pale. That phone number hasn't been used for a long time. Section Chief Shen asked, who is the real name authentication for the account? The staff replied, Su Man. The room fell silent. Su Man lowered her head, tears falling one by one onto the table. Zhou Ju turned his face away, not looking at her. I saw Su Man notice it too. Her lips began to tremble. Section Chief Shen asked, Su Man, did you contact Wang Hai, asking him to approach the exam venue during the college entrance exam and throw paper strips? Su Man cried and shook her head. I didn't ask him to throw them. I just told him to wait over there. Wait for what? She couldn't answer. Zhou Ju suddenly spoke up. Su Man, if you've done something wrong, just admit it yourself, don't drag others down with you. Su Man jerked her head up to look at him. Her eyes first showed shock, then despair. She probably never expected the person she liked to cut ties so quickly. Zhou Ju's expression was pained. I never thought you'd do something like this. When you asked me about exam discipline before, I thought you were just concerned. What a move. Completely distancing himself from Su Man. Su Man's lips trembled. Zhou Ju, what do you mean by that? Zhou Ju avoided her gaze. I'm just stating the facts. Su Man suddenly let out a laugh, uglier than crying. Facts? She wiped away her tears. And now you're talking to me about facts, Zhou Ju, she screamed. Zhou Ju froze. Su Man stared at him intently. Didn't you tell me, as long as Lin Jianyu gets into trouble, the recommendation for guaranteed admission is secure? The hearing room fell into dead silence. Zhou Ju's face instantly turned pale. I lowered my eyes and let out a soft breath. Here it comes. Su Man's words cut through Zhou Ju's disguise like a knife. Zhou Ju suddenly stood up. Su Man, what nonsense are you talking about? Su Man also stood up, her eyes frighteningly red. Nonsense, Zhou Ju, dare you say you never said that? Zhou's mother grabbed Zhou Ju and pulled him back down. Zhou's father, his face ashen, said to Section Chief Shen, kids get emotional and lash out. This kind of talk can't be used as evidence. Section Chief Shen didn't respond, only looked at Su Man. You say Zhou Ju mentioned guaranteed admission recommendation, do you have evidence? Su Man's body stiffened, she instinctively looked at Zhou Ju. Zhou Ju stared back at her, his eyes like a warning. Su Man's courage instantly deflated. She said tearfully, I deleted the chat records. Zhou's father sneered, deleted means there's nothing, you can't slander my son with just words. I knew this would happen, in her past life. Su Man dared to spread rumors because she knew that most of the time, rumors didn't need evidence, but the truth did, so I never pinned all my hopes on her from the start. I raised my hand. Section Chief Shen looked at me. Lin Jianhua, do you have something to add? I took out the materials Tang Ran had given me. I'm submitting a witness lead. After the evening study session the night before the college entrance exam, some classmates saw Su Man and Zhou Ju meeting behind the experimental building. Su Man handed Zhou Ju a blue sticky note. The material and color of the note matched this sticky note. Zhou Ju said coldly, match, Lin Jianhua, do you know the consequences of falsely accusing someone? I looked at him, yes, I do, so I'm submitting a lead, not a conclusion. The investigation draws the conclusion. His face turned even uglier. I added, also, I request a comparison of the handwriting on the note with Zhou Ju's exam scratch paper and his usual homework notes. Zhou Ju's mother immediately said, on what grounds? Why should my son's notes be checked for you? Section Chief Shen said, this is part of the investigation procedure. If student Zhou Ju has nothing to do with this, the comparison can also clear his suspicion. Zhou Ju's father suppressed his anger. Materials involving minors involve privacy. Section Chief Shen said calmly, the college entrance exam incident is no longer an ordinary student conflict. We will handle it according to laws and regulations. Zhou Ju sat there, his fingertips pale. I knew what he was afraid of. I had only glanced at the note from his past life once, but Zhou Ju had a habit. When he wrote multiple choice answers, the horizontal line of the letter A was very short, the lower half of the letter B was larger than the upper half, and the number 7 always had a horizontal line through the middle. These details others might not notice, but I had been his classmate and competitor for 3 years. I was too familiar with them. After the hearing, the investigation team didn't immediately announce a conclusion, but the situation had already changed. Su Man was kept behind for further questioning. The Zhou family left in a hurry. In the hallway, Zhou Ju's father suddenly stopped and turned to look at me. Student Lin Jianhua. I stopped too. He walked over, forcing a smile. Both you and Zhou Ju are excellent students. There's no need to ruin each other's futures over a misunderstanding. Uncle knows your family's financial situation is modest. If you're willing to provide a statement of understanding, we can offer some compensation. My mom was standing nearby. When she heard compensation, her eyes clearly lit up. I saw it, and the last trace of warmth in my heart went completely cold. Zhou's father continued, 100,000, use it for college, it should be enough. I gave a faint smile. Uncle Zhou, can I interpret that as bribing a witness? His face changed. Don't just throw accusations around. I pulled out my phone and opened the recording interface. Feel free to continue. Zhou's father's expression completely darkened. Zhou Ju stood behind him, his gaze venomous. Zhou's mother sneered, little girl, being too aggressive will make your future road harder. I put away my phone. Auntie, I've already walked a hard road in my past life once. In this life, I won't take the path you set for me. She didn't understand, just frowned. I went on, this time, I'll build my own road. With that, I walked past them. My mother caught up and grabbed me. Jianhua, 100,000 is not a small amount. I stopped, her voice dropped very low. Anyway, you haven't been disqualified yet. Wouldn't it be good to take the money and go to college? Why do you have to offend them? The Zhou family is so well off. What if they retaliate against you later? I looked at her and suddenly found it ironic. She wasn't unaware of my grievance. She just thought it could be priced. 100,000. The life of her daughter, nearly ruined, was worth 100,000 in her eyes. I asked, if it were about money, if I really had my scores cancelled, would you also tell me to take the money and let it go? She grew irritated. What if, Why have you been talking nonsense lately, kid? I said no more, Mom. From today on, don't interfere in any of my affairs, especially don't sign anything or accept any money on my behalf. She panicked. I'm your guardian. I'm already 18. She froze. Yes, I had turned 18 before the college entrance exam. In my past life, I always thought of myself as a child who needed my mother to make decisions for me. In this life, I clearly know, I am an adult. I can sign for my own life. A few days later, before the exam results were out, the school first posted the list of recommended candidates for direct admission. Zhou Ju's name was still on it. The recommendation reason was beautifully written: outstanding academic performance, upright character, actively upheld exam discipline during the college entrance exam. With exceptional performance, I stood in front of the bulletin board, looking at those lines. In my past life, this notice was posted over my tarnished innocence. In this life, they still dared to post it. A classmate nearby whispered, "Isn't the investigation still ongoing?" Zhou Ju's family is powerful. Lin Jianyue must be furious. I wasn't furious. I just took a photo, then walked into the academic affairs office. "Hello, I'd like to file an objection." The teacher in charge saw me, and his face stiffened. "Lin Jianyue, this is just a candidate list, so I'm submitting my objection within the public notice period." I placed the materials on the table one by one. Reason: this candidate is involved in an investigation into an abnormal incident during the college entrance exam. Without evidence, he publicly accused a fellow examinee of cheating and may be linked to the note-throwing incident. Before the investigation concludes, upholding exam discipline should not be used as a recommendation. Reason: the teacher's lips twitched. This needs to be reviewed by the leadership. Fine. I pushed the receipt form over. Please accept it. He looked at me like I was a nuisance. Yes, I am a nuisance specifically targeting their loopholes. That afternoon, Zhou Ju rushed up to me. This was the first time I saw him lose control. "Lin Jianyue, are you determined to ruin me?" I closed my book. "Zhou Ju, you've finally told the truth." He was panting. I said, "Didn't you claim you were just upholding exam discipline? If you have a clear conscience, why are you afraid of an objection?" He lowered his voice. "Do you know how important this recommendation is to me?" "I do." I looked at him. "That's why you ruined me in my past life." That flicker of suspicion appeared in his eyes again. "What are you even talking about?" I didn't explain. "Zhou Ju, you won't get it this time." He gritted his teeth. "You think you've won? The comparison won't be that fast. Su Man's words have no evidence. Wang Hai won't talk recklessly, as long as the investigation drags past the public notice period." He suddenly stopped, realizing he had said too much. I smiled. "Thank you." His face changed. "Are you recording?" I raised my phone. His face turned pale inch by inch. The recording of Zhou Ju became the second stone that crushed him, the first being the day the handwriting comparison results came out. I was at the library looking up college application materials when Director Shin called, asking me to go to the Education Bureau in the afternoon. When I arrived, Su Man was also there. She had lost a lot of weight, her eyes bloodshot. Zhou Ju sat on the other side, his face dark. His parents were no longer as aggressive as the first time. His father kept checking his phone, while his mother clutched her bag tightly. Director Shin placed the materials on the table. After preliminary comparison, the handwriting on the note shows a high degree of similarity to the writing characteristics found in multiple homework assignments and exam drafts of student Zhou Ju. If judicial identification is needed later, further testing will be conducted. Zhou Ju immediately said, "High similarity doesn't mean I wrote it." Director Shin nodded. "So we also checked other evidence." The projection screen lit up. The first image was a backup of the small group chat between Su Man and Zhou Ju. After Tang Ran submitted it, the investigation team recovered some records through technical means. Su Man, what if the window isn't open? Zhou Ju, stick to the plan. Su Man, what if she doesn't touch the note? Zhou Ju, I'll report it. She won't be able to explain. The second image was a private message from Zhou Ju to Su Man. She has to get into trouble, otherwise, the recommendation spot is still up in the air. The third was an excerpt from Wang Hai's interrogation record. Su Man told me to throw the note, said someone inside would cooperate with the report. The note was given to Su Man by a guy in advance. Zhou Ju's face lost all color. His father suddenly stood up. "This is impossible. Chat records can be faked, and that Wang Hai is just a thug. How can his words be trusted?" Director Shin looked at him. "So we also verified the transfers, surveillance footage, call records, and the source of the paper." the staff displayed the final piece of evidence, a purchase record for blue sticky notes. Surveillance from the stationery store near the school showed Zhou Ju buying a pack of blue sticky notes and the same type of black pen. The night before the college entrance exam, during evening self-study, then, surveillance from behind the experimental building captured him meeting briefly with Su Man, who put the sticky note pad into her school uniform jacket. When she left, one section was missing. The chain of evidence was complete. It wasn't a suddenly appearing surveillance camera from nowhere. Every step they thought was hidden had left traces. Zhou Ju sat there, his lips trembling. He tried to speak but couldn't make a sound. Su Man suddenly cried out, "He made me do it, it was all him." He said Lin Jianyue's grades were too stable. As long as she took the exam normally, the recommendation spot would never go to him. He said if the note flew in, he would stand up and report it. Everyone would believe him. Zhou Ju slammed the table. "Shut up." Su Man broke down too. "Why should I shut up? Weren't you just trying to make me take all the blame, Zhou Ju? I did so much for you, and now you turn around and say I'm crazy on my own." She sobbed heart-wrenchingly, but this time no one comforted her. She wasn't innocent. She was just an accomplice who didn't get her share. I sat across from them, watching it all unfold, not with the triumphant laughter I had imagined, but with a cold sense of finality settling in. So it turned out that what destroyed me in my past life wasn't some grand conspiracy, just a selfish boy, a jealous girl, a bunch of adults who didn't want trouble, and a system that never bothered to check one step further, but together, they were enough to ruin an ordinary girl's life. What if I hadn't gotten a second chance? What if I hadn't locked the window in advance? What if I was still that Lin Jianyue who could only cry and explain? At that thought, my fingertips still felt cold. Section Chief Shen announced the interim disciplinary decisions. Zhou Ju is suspected of organizing others to disrupt the college entrance exam order and framing a fellow examinee. His recommendation for preferential admission is immediately suspended, and relevant materials will be handed over to the school and police for further investigation. Su Man is involved in contacting outside personnel and spreading false information. The school will impose a demerit according to regulations. Wang Hai disrupted the exam site order. He will be dealt with by public security authorities according to the law. Meanwhile, the investigation team confirms Lin Jianyue did not engage in any cheating during the incident, and she proactively reported the anomaly, playing a positive role in protecting the fairness of the exam. Hearing this, I closed my eyes. In my past life, I had waited my whole life for this vindication. In this life, someone finally put it in black and white, but it wasn't over yet. I demanded that the school issue a public clarification. Principal Feng hesitated at first. Lin Jianyue, if we make a public announcement, won't it blow things out of proportion? I said. My name was already blown out of proportion when it was hinted at. If you don't clarify publicly now, the rumors will follow me for the rest of my life. Section Chief Shen also said, the school should eliminate the negative impact within an appropriate scope. Principal Feng had no choice but to agree. The next day, the school held a briefing for the senior year. The auditorium was packed. Many students looked awkward when they saw me come in. A few who had cursed me on the forum kept their heads down, not daring to meet my eyes. On stage, Principal Feng read the interim investigation conclusions. After verification, Lin Jianyue did not cheat in the abnormal incident during the Chinese language exam of the college entrance exam. She proactively requested to lock the window before the exam began, proactively reported the anomaly outside the window during the exam, did not touch the note, and did not communicate with anyone outside. The auditorium fell silent. I sat in the front row, my back very straight. Principal Feng continued. Zhou Ju reported a fellow examinee for cheating without direct evidence, and is suspected of being involved in the note-throwing incident from outside. The school has suspended all his eligibility for commendation and recommendation, pending further investigation by relevant authorities. Suppressed gasps came from the back rows. Zhou Ju wasn't there, and neither was Su Man, but their names were torn open in front of everyone. Then Lu Min stepped up to the stage, holding the microphone with a grim face. As the homeroom teacher, I failed to promptly stop the spread of unverified information at the beginning of the incident, and I did not adequately protect the students' rights. I hereby apologize to Lin Jianyue. He looked at me. I'm sorry. In my past life, I longed to hear those 3 words, but now hearing them, my heart was calm. What's the use of an apology? None. But he had to say it, because public harm requires a public correction. After the meeting, Tang Ran walked over to me, her voice low. Lin Jianyue, I'm sorry, I was scared a few days ago. I didn't stand up right away. I looked at her and shook my head. You did stand up later. Her eyes reddened. You're really amazing. I smiled faintly. It wasn't about being amazing. I turned my gaze toward the glaring sunlight outside the auditorium door. It's that I don't want to die again. She didn't understand, but she didn't ask further. At the school gate, Zhou was waiting for me. He looked like he hadn't slept all night. His hair was messy, his white shirt crumpled badly. Gone was the image of that aloof academic top student. He blocked my path, his voice hoarse. Lin Jianhua, I was wrong. I stopped. There were still classmates around. They all slowed down. Zhou's eyes were red. I really just made a momentary mistake. I was under too much pressure. My parents kept forcing me to get the recommendation. I couldn't afford to lose. I never thought it would get this serious. I looked at him. In my past life, when I lay in the rain, blood slowly draining away, I had wondered if they ever thought things would get this serious. Maybe not, because my life was never serious to them. I asked, what if the note had flown in? He froze. What if I hadn't locked the window beforehand? If I had my scores cancelled? If the whole school called me a cheater, would you have come forward to tell the truth? His lips turned pale. The answer was obvious. No. He would have just stepped over my corpse to climb higher. I said, Zhou, I don't accept it. He panicked. Then what do you want? My recommendation is gone. My parents are going crazy. The school punished me. The police are coming for me. What more do you want? I looked at him, my voice very soft. I want you to remember what it feels like to have your future destroyed. He stood frozen. I walked past him. This time, the murmurs behind me were no longer insults. Someone said, how scary. Zhou usually seemed so nice. Another said, Lin Jianhua is way too calm. If it were me, I'd have broken down. Someone else said, she was almost done in. I didn't look back, because I knew public opinion isn't justice. Today it can speak for me, but tomorrow it could kill me. All I can trust are the evidence and myself. After the school clarified things, my mom finally started calling me frequently. Just a few days ago she was cursing me for being a disgrace, and now she was crying, saying, Mom knew you wouldn't cheat. Listening to her sobs on the phone, I only felt a sense of unfamiliarity. If she really knew, why didn't she say it in the office on the first day? Why was that slap at the school gate so vicious in the past life? Why did she waver when Uncle Zhou offered 100,000 in compensation? Her so-called belief always came too late. I didn't answer her first few calls. It wasn't until the day before the college entrance exam results were announced that she sent a message. Jianhua, come home for dinner. Your uncle said he misunderstood you too. Don't let the family fall apart. Family, such a nice word. I replied with 2 words, no time. She called back quickly, why are you so vengeful? It's all been cleared up. What more do you want? I asked. Do you think clearing it up means it never happened? She choked up. Mom was just confused at the time. Every time you hurt me, it's just confused. She started crying. I'm your mom. Are you trying to drive me to death? That line used to hit hard in the past life. Whenever she cried, I'd feel guilty. I'd think I was unfilial, too harsh, that she had it tough as a woman in her marriage. But this time, I didn't get dragged in. I said, Mom, you don't need to drive yourself to death, and don't push me either. I'll support you according to the law in the future, but I won't let you arrange my life anymore. She went silent on the other end. After a long pause, she asked, what do you mean? Are you cutting ties with me, legally? I can't, I said, but emotionally, it's been cut for years. She started cursing, calling me cold-blooded and ingrate, saying my education had made me inhuman. I put the phone on the table, recording, and waited for her to finish, then said, are you done? If you're done, I'll hang up. She screamed, Lin Jianhua. I hung up. On the day the results came out, I checked them alone in a hotel room. My fingers still trembled a bit as I entered my exam number. The page loaded slowly, and I stared at the screen, my heartbeat growing heavier with each thud. In the past life, I had no score. The system only showed those 4 words, disqualified for violation, like a branding iron seared into me for life. This time, the page finally loaded. Total score, 692, ranked in the top 20 in the province. I stared at that number, and my eyes welled up, not because of the score, but because at that moment, I finally confirmed, my life hadn't been stolen. I did it. I had completed that exam fully, and I had fully pulled myself out of the mud of the past. My phone buzzed wildly. Lu Min messaged, Jianhua, congratulations. This score is amazing, the school wants to interview you. Principal Feng also sent, Lin Jianhua, congratulations, the school will recommend you for an outstanding graduate award. Tang Ran sent a string of exclamation marks. Ah, you're so awesome, I replied with a smile. Did you check yours? She said. Yeah, I'm way above the first-year line. We both made it ashore. What a great word. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, my mom called again. This time, I answered, her voice trembling with excitement. Jianhua, you scored 692, your teacher Lu called me. Why didn't you tell Mom? You've made Mom so proud. In the past life, she said I was a disgrace. This life, she says I'm proud. So it turns out a mother's love depends on grades too. She continued, come home for dinner tonight. Your uncle bought groceries. Your little brother said he wants to learn study methods from you. And don't fill in your college applications randomly. Let's discuss it, with your score. Applying to the provincial normal university is very safe. Become a teacher, close to home. I interrupted her. I'm applying to Tsinghua University for law. She froze. So far away. Why go so far as a girl? Law is so tiring. Isn't being a teacher better, stable, and you can take care of the family? I stared at the grade page on my computer and suddenly laughed. In my past life, she also told me to apply for a teaching program, saying, stability is most important for a girl, saying, we only have one daughter, so don't go too far. But her so-called close to home wasn't about loving me, it was about convenience for control. I said, I'm not discussing this with you, I'm informing you. Her voice instantly changed. Lin Jianhua, don't you forget that you owe everything you have today to this family. I hadn't forgotten. I opened another folder. Inside were records of all my scholarships, part-time job earnings, tutoring transfers, and expenses from these past few years. So, I've calculated the necessary expenses you and my stepfather actually paid for me during high school. I will repay in installments during college. As for the emotional debts that aren't necessary, I don't acknowledge them. She trembled with anger. You're settling accounts with your own mother. Yes, because you've been settling accounts with me all along, she cried. You're breaking my heart. I didn't explain further. When it comes to heartbreak, she was too late. I had already grown cold long ago. Before filling out my college application, my stepfather brought my mother to the hotel to find me. They blocked the lobby, holding copies of the household registration booklet, their faces dark. You can't just fill in the application randomly. Your mother is in poor health. You must stay local. I looked at him. Must, he said. Yes, you've lived and eaten at home for so many years. You can't just leave without a word. I pulled a file from my bag. These are the student loan materials I've consulted. This is the reply email from Tsinghua University's admissions office. This is my bank account statement. I'll handle my tuition and living expenses myself. My stepfather sneered. You think that's it? Your younger brother is taking the college entrance exam next year. As the older sister, you need to help. My mother wiped her tears on the side. Jianhua, your brother isn't your blood brother. But after all these years, I raised my hand. I don't have a brother. I won't buy him a house. Won't tutor him, won't pay off his loans, won't hand over my scholarships to the family. If you keep harassing me, I'll apply for personal safety protection and file a police report. People in the lobby looked over. My stepfather felt embarrassed and lowered his voice to curse. Don't be ungrateful. I picked up my phone. Say that again. He froze. I looked at him. From the first day of the college entrance exam until now. Haven't you learned yet? What I'm best at now is making people repeat themselves, and then making them stay. His face turned pale. My mother cried and pulled him. Forget it. Stop making a scene. My stepfather shook her off and pointed at me. Lin Jianhua, if you leave, don't come back. I nodded. Okay. He was stunned. I said, you've already said that once before. I accept it. That night, I officially submitted my application, Tsinghua University, Law, as my first choice. When the submission success page popped up, I stared at it for a long time, then took a screenshot and saved it. This wasn't just an ordinary application form, it was the departure agreement I signed for myself. On the day when the Education Bureau finally released its official notification, I happened to receive an admission text message. School of Law, Tsinghua University. I was sitting in the library, the phone screen glowing, and sunlight fell through the window, shining right on the word, admission. I stared at it for a long time before slowly smiling. No screams, no tears. Just the feeling that the heavy stone pressing on my chest had finally hit the ground. That same day, the school's official website published a situation report. The report didn't use many emotional words, but every sentence carried weight, confirmed that Lin Jianhua had no act of cheating, confirmed that she voluntarily reported the anomaly, confirmed a direct link between Zhou Ju and the act of passing notes with individuals outside the venue and groundlessly reporting instances of cheating by other examinees in the same room, revoked all of Zhou Ju's internal school honors, evaluations, and recommendation eligibility for direct admission. Su Man received a disciplinary demerit and had her status as an outstanding graduate revoked. Wang Hai, for disrupting the order of the college entrance examination venue and assisting others in framing others, was dealt with by public security authorities in accordance with the law. Homeroom teacher Lu Min, for improper handling of the situation, was publicly criticized by the school and had her annual evaluation revoked. Director Huang was also summoned for a meeting by the Education Bureau. The tide on the forums had completely turned, so Lin Jianhua was the most clear-headed one all along, locking the windows before the exam really saved her. Zhou Ju is terrifying, and she usually pretends to be righteous. Su Man isn't innocent either. She didn't hold back when spreading rumors. Was the school trying to cover things up at first? The posts that once cursed me were deleted by the admins. Some people messaged me privately to apologize. Some said they were led astray by the narrative. I didn't reply to a single one. I don't need everyone to apologize. I just need them to know. Rumor mongering has consequences. On graduation day, I didn't plan to go, but Principal Feng called me personally, saying the school hoped I would give a speech as the representative of outstanding graduates. I agreed, not for the school, but for me from my past life who never got to graduate. The auditorium was the same one, and the entire senior class sat below. When I walked up to the stage in my school uniform, many people looked at me. This time, there was no suspicion in their eyes. There was guilt, admiration, and some who dared not meet my gaze. I stood in front of the microphone and unfolded my script. Hello everyone, I'm Lin Jianhua. The audience was very quiet. Before the college entrance exam, I used to think grades were the most important thing, but later I realized that what matters more than grades is the ability to protect yourself when you're misunderstood, framed, and told to stay silent. I paused. I want to thank the invigilator for following procedure and documenting everything, thank the investigation team for uncovering the truth, and thank the classmate who was willing to submit evidence. I didn't mention Tang Rant's name, but I saw her sitting in the audience, her eyes red as she smiled. I also want to tell everyone, innocence isn't won by crying and begging. It requires evidence, it requires courage, and it requires us not to give up on ourselves from the very beginning. The audience remained silent. Finally, I hope none of you will ever become the person who hands over the knife, nor the person who watches the knife fall. I closed my notes, because an unverified statement can truly destroy a person. Applause rang out, soft at first, then growing louder. Standing on stage, I looked at the familiar faces in the audience. In my past life, they had sat in these same seats too. Some cursed me, some stayed silent, some pretended not to know. In this life, they were applauding for me, but I no longer needed applause to prove who I was. After stepping off stage, Lu Min was waiting for me backstage. He looked much older. Jianhua. I stopped. His eyes were red-rimmed. Teacher really let you down. Back then, I was afraid it would affect the class, afraid it would affect the school, and afraid he couldn't finish. I said it for him, afraid of the trouble. His face turned pale. Yes, teacher was wrong. I looked at him. In my past life, I hated him the most, because as the homeroom teacher, he should have protected me. At the very least, he should have investigated, but his first choice was to make me admit fault. In this life, he paid the price, though it wasn't enough to repay the life lost in my past life. But I knew reality wasn't like the novels where one life is traded for one blow. I didn't want him to kneel. I wanted him to remember this lesson. Every time he faced a student from now on, I said, Teacher Lu, I hope next time a student says, I've been wronged, you'll verify first before you lose faith. Tears fell from his eyes. I didn't comfort him, nor did I forgive him. I just turned and walked away. At the school gate, my mother stood there, holding a thermos, her eyes cautious. Jianhua, Mom made you some soup. I stopped. She walked over, her voice soft. The admission letter should be coming soon, right? Mom knows you're going to. Jinghua, come home for a meal before you leave. If this were my past life, I would have softened, but now I just looked at her. Mom, I'll come see you, but I'm not going home. Her eyes reddened. Isn't that your home? I shook my head. No, it's not. She covered her mouth, her shoulders trembling as she cried. My heart ached a little. After all, she was my mother. But aching doesn't mean turning back, and pain doesn't mean forgiveness. Blood ties aren't an unlimited credit card, I said. From now on, I'll send you living expenses regularly, and I'll stay in touch during holidays, but don't ask about my address, school, plans, scholarships, or part-time income anymore, and don't let my stepfather contact me. She nodded through tears. Mom really knows she was wrong. I didn't respond to that, because, knowing you're wrong, and changing, are worlds apart. I only said, I hope you truly do. With that, I walked past her. This time, she didn't stop me. The remaining days of summer vacation, I moved into a short-term rental near the city library, tutoring during the day and previewing an introduction to law at night. Tang Ran came to find me occasionally. We organized our college admission materials together. She had applied to a finance university down south, and we agreed to meet up during winter break. I learned about Zhou Ju's news from a class group chat. His college entrance exam scores were actually not bad, but due to the disciplinary action and investigation records, his originally secured recommendation was revoked, and several key universities also withdrew their offers. His parents scrambled to pull strings everywhere. No one dared to take him on. Su Man repeated her senior year. Word has it that her family was in chaos. She and Zhou Ju had completely fallen out. Wang Hai was legally punished and also confessed that Zhou Ju had tried to contact him to change his statement. The Zhou family faced another round of investigation when these pieces of news reached my ears. I was packing my luggage. One 24-inch suitcase, one backpack, one laptop bag. My life was so light it was almost unbelievable. On the day I left, I didn't ask anyone to see me off. The train station was crowded. I stood in the waiting hall, holding my admission letter, with a red cover and a gold-embossed school name. I gently touched it. I hadn't gotten it in my past life. This time, I would take it with me. The boarding announcement sounded. I dragged my suitcase forward, and someone called out behind me, Lin Jianyue. I turned around. It was Tang Ran. She ran over, out of breath, and shoved a bag of candy into my hands. For the trip, and, let me know when you arrive. I smiled. Okay. She hugged me. You're definitely going to become a great lawyer, I said. I'll do my best. Before entering the gate, I took one last look at this city. It held my most painful past life, and also the life I had rewritten with my own hands. I didn't look back again. As the train started moving, the platform outside the window slowly retreated. I opened my phone and deleted the group chats that had once suffocated me over and over, keeping only the evidence backups, not because I was still living in hatred, but because I needed to remember that people can be kind, but must also have their sharp edges, to remember that tolerance doesn't bring fairness, to remember that fate gave me a second chance, not to walk down the same old road. The sunlight outside the window was very bright. I put the admission letter into my bag and closed my eyes. In this life, the college entrance exam did not become my grave, it became my exit. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.